My name is Robert Werner. I'm one of the Carnaval photographers. It's a real honor. I don't consider myself as a photographer really an artist, but I am pleased to be around 6 very talented artists tonight who are going to be talking with you. And my friend in the audience, Katja, over dinner was saying, how did this all come together? So I said, I can't tell you until 7:15. So the way it all came together was, I grew up in Vancouver in Canada, in Western Canada, and I'm a software engineer, that's my real profession. And I moved down here in 2014, October, and in December 2014, at 24th and South Van Ness, a very famous mural, piece of mural art, I call it the Carnaval mural. It's like the biggest Carnaval mural, I think, in the city, was being rededicated because, of course, over time, paint tends to wear and so on. And to be honest, back then in December 2014, when I was photographing this event and rededication and so on, I didn't actually know, I probably read at the time who the artist was, but I didn't really know. Fast forward to last year, the main artist, there were a few of them, but the main artist, now my friend Daniel Galvez, was inquiring, hey, who took those pictures and put them on Facebook? And another friend, Lenore Chin, said, oh, that's that Rob Werner guy. So she introduced us, and then Daniel said, hey, can I get some copies of those photos? And of course I dug through an old hard drive, found them, re-rendered them, and so on. I think some of them were, or at least one of them was sold at an auction recently. And then, more importantly, because it deals with the stomach, Daniel and his wife Joan took me out for a delicious dim sum last year, and ever since then, we've been in contact. And I just came up with this idea 2 days before Carnival 2026, the 48th annual. I said, how cool would it be to have some of your artists, indirectly connected to Carnaval San Francisco present? And that's how it all came together. So anyway, it's an exciting night for us all. And the first speaker coming up is Daniel Galvez. So I've got to run to the back and start his slideshow. But Daniel, welcome.
So Lou gave me a chance just to go through all of his images that he had of Carnaval, and I said, oh, dude. So I kept on going. I heard the little clicker going. So the next picture.
Oh, it's coming.
You can talk into the mic, Dave.
So the process was to make a mural that was kind of relevant to the times, and this was what was happening at the time. And because I studied to be a photorealist painter, when I painted murals, I wanted to make them as so realistic as possible to grab the viewer. I can show you this picture if we could move it. There you go. Yeah. Okay, good. So these are the guys that were. It works fine. Okay.
Good. Now we can see the picture.
Okay, so that gives you an idea that I had the world in front of me to represent the Carnaval mural. And I said, oh, this one was great, the vibrancy, the youth, but I only needed the guy in the middle. So he's a gentleman you'll see in our mural, and I found out earlier or later, he was the guy who drove the Mexican bus that went around to the mission to different murals and things. He's now an older gentleman. So when I talked about the murals or the neighborhood being integrated into the mural, I said I've got to use the buildings that make up the mission, which are really brightly colored. There's pink, there's purple. And this particular colorful building was right next to the Carnaval mural. So I said I got to use that. Further down the road was a turquoise pink building with turquoise trim. I said, oh man, I can use that in the mural. So the mural kind of slowly developed from the images that I'd come across. Like this is the banner that hung, that was at the beginning of the Carnival. And this is one of Lou's pictures. And he had a wonderful picture of people enjoying the parade. So I said, okay, I'm going to use 2 of them because that's the only ones I could fit. So because I couldn't put a scaffolding on the wall, the guy said the roof would hold it. He made us do, the owner down below made us have to use swing stage. So all of us had never done this before, but they were muralists. They were young, they were crazy, and they just needed to know how to do the special knot to pull yourself up and down. So this was old school. And and at the very top, it's 24 feet high and, 75 feet wide. But we had a good time and we enjoyed ourselves. And there used to be another gentleman, another muralist with us, but he bailed on me because he was afraid of heights, and he got stuck and wouldn't lower his side down. It was terrible. We had to let him go. I won't tell you who he is, but he's a very prominent guy. So it was really a lot of fun. But the process that people didn't understand is, how did I get that image up that I photographed or that I got from Luz, was I transferred all of his photographs onto paper drawings. And on the back of the drawing is a powdered chalk. It's either blue or red, and kind of burst it on. So we had this big giant blue paper, tracing paper, and we would just transfer the mural's design onto it, and kind of just by hand. And that's how the mural was transferred from photograph to the wall. And one of our most interesting muralist was my first year college school professor, who during the summer heard about the project and wanted to join us. So I said, sure. So he drove all the way from Portland, Oregon, and joined us for 2 weeks of the project. And there's the gang. To the left is Dan Fonts, a young muralist at 25 years old at the time. And this was his second mural. And painting murals was a thing that he realized, I'm made for this. So, and there was Keith Sklar. He and I did the next mural together, the Cram Performance mural. And of course, Jamie Morgan on the end went on to do a lot of murals on his own. And when the mural finally was finished, they came back to redo it. And I'll talk about that briefly. So once we transfer the drawing, then we can hang down and work our way from the top down using the photographs that we've gotten. And I had done the street photographs, and Lou provided the great brilliance of all the singers and dancers. So it took about 6 months total, or maybe 3 months, like really actually painting, because you got to take long breaks, like a week. So little by little. And then the buildings that I have in the mural were, again, part of that street, that exact same 24th Street. That's the York Theater was down the way. There was the Disco Landa movie theater. And of course, the Studio 24 was the Galeria de la Raza. And to the left was a restaurant, Guadalajara de Noche. I think it became a Presida Eyes building later. But the street, changed over time, but I really wanted it to be that was what the mission looked like 40 years ago. And the real fun part that I did, that some people catch it, some people don't, I wanted to cross the bottom of the light well, the figure. I wanted her to be in front of the building. So to make the crossing, I did the plywood cutout to go right there. I mean, it's not painted yet, but when it is, that's when the magic is there. So I'm down below, and then there's Dan Fonts above. That was our painting setup. His was a little crooked, I could see. But anyway, we pulled it off. So, old ways was with the brush and the drawing board and the little line and the ruler. But today's muralists paint or transfer images quickly through projections, which is really like the way to go. This one would be a tricky one since you're kind of on top of a roof. So to get into the mural design again, you remember the photograph of the individuals at the window. They got transferred up here. And then below that comes the banner that was shown in earlier. And it too appeared to be in front of the building. So then now they're in the window. And all the windows also used to be just plain flat trim. Now all got fancied gingerbread paint on them to make it look three-dimensional in a different world. So I wanted to make 3 buildings. So there's the bluish building there. Then comes the pink building, and then on the end will be the purple building. Not a lot of space for actual painting, a lot of figures and stuff, so I wanted to keep it kind of simple. But every window got a real nice dressing up, so it looked like 3 buildings with a mural on it. There's the finished piece. That would be 1983. 30 years later, the mural had deteriorated. I was using oil-based paints called enamel paints, and they really were the wrong paint to use. It didn't bend with the wood as it shrunk and expanded, so it cracked and peeled off after 30 years. So this time, the funding was raised. The Carnaval Restoration Committee, that would be Lou de Mateus, myself, and Mauricio Aviles, we went on to raise the $75,000 needed for its restoration, because it would need at least 3 months of work. And all of the original artists that you saw came back 30 years later to help with the restoration of the mural. So this time around, then I used acrylic paints. They're much more flexible as when they dry over time, and I put a couple of coats of a powerful varnish. So the mural should last another 40 years, but keep looking like that.
You didn't use the same scaffolding, I hope.
No, it's all swing stages. Except for the restoration. Now the restoration, I had an engineer figure out a system to put the planks below it to hold the weight. I just give it the weight more properly, so it wouldn't put an impact his roof down below. He was a crazy guy, but we did as he said. So I got an engineer design how the planking would work. So we literally got to scaffold the building, which made life a whole lot easier. And we can come and go as our please. And it made a huge difference. It surprisingly took less time than we realized. Okay, so that was the tail end of the project, El Maestro. The very next year, the Grand Performance mural was painted in Oakland. And Keith Sklar, he and I were the main guys to have community artists help us paint this mural right after the very next year. But now, this is what it looks like 40 years later, where it has this deteriorated and paint is all flaked off. So this mural is scheduled to be restored this year in August. And but I need a new crew of muralists. You know, I can't bounce around crazy on scaffolding. So I've had the Hungry Ghost Productions, the Twin Walls Mural Company, Pancho and Pablito as the next crew of muralists that will repaint this mural. I just get to direct a little bit, but I think I want to get up on that scaffolding. So, hold on to your hats, and I'm way down here somewhere, but this is the state of the mural now, but that's all going to change. Okay, thank you. That's it for today. Two murals, but I'm just going to talk about one. All right, so who's ever done?
Yep, next up we have David Burke with Hungry Ghost Studio. And give me a second and I will...
Good evening. So I just want to say first that it's really honored to be here with so many talented artists and to be included on the crew that will be restoring the grand performance later this summer. So it's really nice to be here. My name is David Burke. I'm an Oakland-based muralist. And let's see. Well, you can see part of it, and you can see his head. So I'm going to start with this image, and you can see his head right there. That's Dan Fonts, who recently passed away. I was 8 years old when this was painted, and I remember seeing this mural as an 8-year-old, seeing this giraffe painted It's underneath 580 in Oakland, kind of near Kaiser. And there was something that struck me about just the magic of seeing a giraffe in the middle of Oakland. We were probably on our way, we were on our way to Kaiser, and it really left an impression on me, the directness, and again, like seeing this piece through the eyes of an 8-year-old, it really left a mark on me. And I didn't know at the time that I was going to be painting murals as an adult. But it was definitely something that as I matured as an artist, reflected on a lot. And, you know, was fortunate enough to meet Dan Fonts as an adult and get to know him and express my gratitude for his work. And he had a profound impact on so many artists in the Bay Area, and, you know, worked with Danielle. So just really want to pay tribute to him and his legacy. And then not too far down, let's see. So not too far down the street, around the same time, Danielle was painting his grand performance, and this was another piece that I remember in the back of the station wagon driving by and seeing this magical, surreal landscape of figures floating in the sky. And so these two murals, you know, along with some others, were really helped kind of shape my perspective on large-scale painting and mural painting. And so what I'm going to do is just walk through one mural that we painted in 2023 in Oakland. This is on 51st and Shattuck in the Temescal district, and it's part of an ongoing series called Love Letter to Oakland. And the theme of the project is to celebrate different generations of artists and activists in the city and show the older generation passing the torch to the younger generation. So we feature musicians, painters, poets, dancers, people from all different disciplines, and create these compositions where you have the older generation passing the torch. So here on the left is Hung Lu, who was a professor at Mills College of Chinese. She's from China. She was an amazing painter and really had a big impact on a lot of young artists that worked with her at Mills. To the right of her is Michael Morgan, who was a symphony director of the Oakland Symphony for many years. And then moving right is Kev Choice, who is a musician and producer, Oakland-based, really prolific. And then two familiar faces. We have Elaine and Marina here on the bottom right. And so I'm just gonna walk through, you know, these pieces start, here's the wall. And, you know, if you talk to a muralist, we all have like a list of maybe our top 5 walls in any given city where we see it, we're like, oh, we want to paint that one. And so this was really on my bucket list for a really long time. And, you know, this particular series is definitely a passion project where we just write grants and get donations and just trying to piece together on a shoestring to make these happen. And we start in the studio. So we invite the artists into the studio because we really want the lighting to be consistent in the mural. So we have a light source and we know where the light source is coming from, so we make sure that when we photograph them, everything is consistent, so we create the atmosphere in the mural and it stays consistent. And so this was Hung Lu. We didn't know at the time when Hung Lu was at the studio that she had cancer. And a few short months after she came to the studio, she passed away. And so this changed the spirit of the project quite a bit. And it became more of a tribute to her and her legacy. Same with Michael Morgan. We were planning to have him come visit us, and he passed away that same summer. And so, one of the main tenets of the project is to celebrate living artists so that they can be celebrated, right? And but this project shifted when they passed away, and these two great models here. And what we also do as part of this project is we interview the artists and talk about their influences, and we're putting together a short film that kind of traces the threads between artists in different disciplines and how being Bay Area artists influences them and how it shapes their practice. And this is a director, Bruce Riley. He's going to be in the next Love Letter mural. So let's see. Let's go next slide. Oh, it's all good. So, these walls are typically neglected and beat up, so we start, just washing the wall. And each step of the process is kind of a meditation for us. It's about cleaning the wall, preparing the surface, making sure that, a mural is only as strong as what's underneath it and how it's prepared. You could paint the most beautiful mural, but if the wall isn't prepared properly, it's just gonna fade, crack, peel off the wall. And so we really take time to prep the wall, and then, start priming. And it's always, those first couple days are always quite dramatic, the shift in the mural. And then we sort of ran out of the one blue, so we finished the other blue, but we kind of knew, like, when you're painting the background, it's just kind of the foundation. It's part that you won't really see in the end. And then we wanted to get, this building had really interesting architecture, so we really wanted to use the architecture to our advantage. We were painting it. And we did not have a pulley system swing stage for this. We had a lift and a couple of 30-foot rolling scaffolding that we used. And we also projected the mural at night. And so we go out at night, and this took about, I don't know, Pancho, we were out there for it took about 5 hours to draw it out when we were out there, something like that. So, this is just a map, right? This is just we have some markers on the wall. It keeps us oriented because, again, when you're up on the wall, it can be really disorienting in terms of where you are and what you're working on. And then once that's up, we can get to work. This gives you a good sense of the scale. That's one of our painting partners, Jovic Yebon, who teaches out here at the Academy of Art. And we just get to work. And, I work with Pancho and Pablo, and we collaborate together. And we've, over the years, found a way to blend our styles, that they become very complementary to one another, to each other. And so, we kind of just start building the structure slowly. Typically what we also do during a project is we'll have a community painting day. We invite the community to come out and just activate the space and participate in painting. A lot of people that come out have never painted before or have never painted on a wall. This particular day it was actually raining, and we didn't think that anyone was going to show up. But when we got out there at 9 o'clock, there were like 40 people out there. So we just took a side wall and made a very beautiful mess. And it was really a wonderful experience. And, just to bring people out, bring people together, We kind of just, the whole building was kind of in neglect, so we just kind of took over the whole space. But these community painting days are really important, I think, to the roots of the project, because it connects the community to the work. You know, young people that come out and paint on the wall will always remember that they painted that orange square, and that matters. It really, and it's so, for us, that's a really important aspect to the project. You know, and then we just keep going. It's a lot of climbing up, painting, you climb down, you walk across the street, you look, and it's very physical. And, you know, that's, I think, one thing that people who are not in this line of work don't quite understand the physicality of it. You're out, if it's hot out and sunny out, you're hot. If it's windy out, if it's cold, you're feeling everything, and then you're standing 30 feet up, and you've got your palette, and your water, and all of it, and it's a lot to navigate. And but I think for all of us, it's really a meditation on staying present, because you have to stay balanced, and you have to know where your feet are, and all of those things. So it's really, I think, a nice meditation on those things. Next slide.
This morning, as the dawn broke, and color began creeping back into the world.
There's Pablo, usually shirtless. And I think about, when we're painting together, where I think a lot of us is like a visual band, where we all play different instruments, and individually we're very talented, but together, when we come together, you elevate each other, and you create something special that you couldn't have created on your own. And that's really one of the things that I love about working with these guys is just seeing what they do on the wall. And then that inspires me to answer that. And it's this conversation that we're having throughout the course of the project. Next slide. And there's Pancho working on the Paramount sign. Next slide. And these murals are really so much about the small details, right? The little things matter. And even if no one is going to see, murals are interesting because when you're painting it, you're right here. But the average viewer is going to see it from 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet, maybe 100 feet away. And so they'll never see it quite like this. But those small details matter. Even if no one else sees it, you can sense it. So we really pay a lot of attention to those small details and try and capture the essence of each figure that we're portraying in the piece. I love this picture. That's one of my favorites. And then there's Dan with Jovic and Pancho, and we feel really fortunate to have gotten to know Danielle and Dan. They were the trailblazers for us, and to form a relationship with you guys and get to learn from you and just hear your stories has really been a meaningful part of this process over the years for us. Next slide. This is Hung Lu's partner, who I had met when they came to the studio and we did the photo shoot, and she had since passed, so he came and visited to pay tribute to her, and we had a moment. And these pieces, they live on in the people whose lives they touch, the people in the community who live with the piece. We really, there's Kev Choice, who's also featured in the mural. And murals they become part of our visual landscape and part of your daily routine. And if you drive to work or, you know, wherever you go, like they're part of our life story. And big murals, small murals. I mean, we restored a small mural of Martin Luther King Jr. near Lake Merritt last year. And the number of people that we didn't paint, it was painted in the 90s, but the number of people that came up to us and thanked us and said, hey, you know, I grew up with this piece, I love this piece, thank you. They're part of the fabric of our daily lives. And so this is the final piece again. And we've since painted, we painted 3 in this series, and we're planning to paint the 4th in the series of Love Letter to Oakland this summer.
Well, I think I speak for both of us when I say that we feel really honored to be here. Thank you, Daniel. But especially, you know, amongst our brothers and contemporaries, like, who have immortalized us. It's very strange to be on that end. Normally, we're the ones doing it, so that was a shock. And actually, I saw Kev earlier today because he was the commencement speaker at the Oakland School for the Arts graduation, yeah, where I'm teaching again for a little bit. But something that's really special about that wall is that there's 2 OSA teachers on that wall. So many students have been like, Miss Marine, I saw you. And I'm like, I didn't do it, my brothers did it. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. And you know, Mr. Choi's too. So,
yeah, I mean, the same thing. It is an honor to be a part of this amazing community. Like, Maureen and I feel so lucky that we, you know, grew up seeing murals, and it always seemed just like foreign. Like, we didn't know how those happened to become. And as we, you know, went to art school and started meeting muralists, and then Maureen and I both worked. Came up through Hsieh's Muralists. Susan Cervantes is our mentor, and I've known her since I was 14. I was like a little kid in high school, and very, very overwhelmed by and amazed by murals. And to be given the chance to be able to paint something large was you know, world-changing for me. I was a pretty shy kid, so I didn't really talk, but painting was a way to express myself. And Marina and I have known each other since high school, so.
both went to, well, it's now Ruth Asawa, but School of the Arts. And used to be behind SF State in this teeny tiny elementary school building.
So this is our second collaboration
mural that we did. And yeah, it's on 25th and Orange, so just behind Valencia Street. It was on the side of this little store called Frida's Closet, which is why we painted Frida Kahlo. And there's a few things that we wanted to really tie her into San Francisco, as well as her being Mexican. Like, you know, Chicano is growing up half Chicana. My mom's here, she's the fool. In the mission was really important because we claimed Frida even before this was like a phenomenal thing, you know, now she's on mugs and stuff. But this was actually the first mural dedicated to Frida Kahlo, I think in the States that we found. It was only Mexico at the time. And, you know, we wanted to kind of parallel things from the States and from Mexico. So the dahlias are actually the San Francisco flower, but they're also the national flower of Mexico. So that was just one of the things.
Yeah, and this was, Marina was living in New York at the time when we designed this, so we just kind of shipped it back and forth, and then she came for a week, and we painted it in 6 days. So yeah, that was a really important piece. And you know, when we first started out, we were just like, okay, we'll paint murals here and there, but we didn't really think it was like a career. We just enjoyed painting together, and after this, it just like we got more and more work. So
And I feel like this was kind of like our introduction sort of into some realism. Like we did it a little bit before, but we wanted to not make her the pretty makeup-y looking version that you always see her, like painted, she's sexualized. This was her just being herself, like in a garden with the animals. She loved animals, so.
And Marina and I come from a community mural arts background through Hsieh, so we worked with many different neighborhoods all over the city, and integrating a lot of different ideas. So that's always been a really big important part of our work, is to get input from the community and to hear what you all want to see and say, and your stories which inspire us. So that's kind of been our main driver in a lot of our work. Oops. Oh, darn it, sorry, too fast. Okay.
This is painted in formerly Twitter headquarters downtown. Then it was the X with the buffoon. And now we don't know if it's up or not. It's sad because it's upstairs and it's painted directly on the wall. It is from a group organized at Twitter at the time called She Inspires Me. And they initially had wanted us to paint the Women's March. And we just didn't, for one, we didn't want to paint a whole bunch of signs and
pussy hats.
The Women's March isn't always inclusive of everyone. And there were so many women that need to be paid tribute to, that need the flowers, that are not going to be at those marches. So we decided to collect our own. So this is inspired women who have inspired us, Elaine and I, but also our close friends who are people who inspire us. We asked them what women are inspiring you. So a lot of these are local heroes. They're all, and this isn't even all of them. We actually painted a lot more and we couldn't get the picture, so.
And a lot of our work includes a lot of symbolism, so like water. The composition turned out to be, when we looked at it after, we were like, wow, this is it's like a uterus, and it's just a sea of women coming towards you. So sometimes, things just kind of happy, happenings. But we just really love playing with symbolism and storytelling and showing hidden figures.
And we like to do this little thing in our work. It's called the silent fuck you, which this kind of was because it's an office full of white men, pretty much. And so we kind of wanted to bring our people into that space. So it's a lot of really rebellious women up on this wall. And we wanted to show generations too, that you have, like, that's what's in the center. It's the mom, the infant, and the grandma, to show continuation and legacy as well. But it was funny that we got asked questions like, well, why'd you paint black women in the middle of your painting? People ask weird stuff.
Yes, that's one thing about working in the public, even though this was an office building, but even when we're working in the public as women and short, shrimpy women, we get, do you need help, or are you okay?
Are you a student?
Are you painting this? Is like the biggest one, which is I'm like, no, I'm just here with the brush. But it's interesting, just like how people see us and why we continue to want to paint really big. But even with this one, a lot of people who were sitting in front of the mural were all men, and they were just like, why did you paint only women? So it was like very interesting how murals talk to different people.
And now it's a chorus of women who, they have to suffer looking at it.
Hopefully they'll look them up. Earlier this year, well, it's on 18th and Valencia, which is on the side of a taqueria, and the building owner is awesome. And this mural is really important because it actually happened during like a really crazy time. I had my first daughter, and then Marina
had just been diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. So we had designed it, we had planned to do this mural, and then we both got hit with both of those situations, really. So what started as, us painting on the wall, I couldn't actually get through past my second round of chemo because it was too strong. And so
we brought in the community. Yeah. Marina brought OSA students who helped us get through this, and it was a really important mural. So I'm glad that the building owners continue to want us to take care of it, and we've extended it, and it's just a really important mural that kind of led us to a lot of the healing themes that we've continued on in the last 5-6 years in a lot of our work.
And Susan Cervantes actually that's kind of her coaching too, under the surface. I don't even think she knows if she taught us that, but the idea that you can heal yourself through painting. Whatever you paint, you're manifesting. So better make it something good, because that's what you want to see. If you're going to show something bad, you want to show the outcome of that.
You're putting that energy into the universe.
Yeah. And so when we first got this wall, we were allowed to do whatever we wanted. The owner's very sweet, and her son Alfie lives here. And so Elaine said, what about hummingbirds? And I was like, yes, hummingbirds, except for, wait a minute, they are the Aztec war god is hummingbirds. And Elaine and I had both been almost mugged directly in front of this wall before we even knew we got this wall. A big giant knife. This little kid was like, there's a big butcher knife, and he was like trying to get us. And so, I was like, there's too much of that crazy testosterone, bad energy of like war and just suffering. So we're gonna switch that. We'll still put them there, but because it was two boys that were trying to mug, not just us, but our friends behind us. But so they're surrounded by women goddesses, Aztec women goddesses. So Tonancin's feet are on the bottom. That's what you're seeing. Those sculptural feet kind of coming out. And you could, flowers again, is, oh my gosh, Xochipilli, and then we have the corn god in the middle. Coyolxauhqui, yes. In the middle, on top, is the moon goddess. And normally in that legend, she's pictured, they found her in Mexico City, this big giant tablet. She's cut up into pieces because the story is that she tried to save her mom, Tonantzin, who was gonna give birth to the Aztec war god, and she was gonna have to sacrifice her mom. She didn't wanna do it, but because she got found out, her brother popped out of her mom and cut her up and threw her down the mountain. So that's normally how you see her, but we wanted to see her put back together again.
And then it became symbolic of Marina's healing, with all of us helping, the community helping to put Marina
together,
become whole again after her cancer treatment. And I think we did a good job. This was painted at the beginning of COVID.
2020. And we're kind of seeing parallels between the Mission District, where, I grew up, and Elaine spent a good majority of her time growing up as an adult too, with Presida. But during COVID, we're getting hit the hardest here as far as neighborhoods in San Francisco. And at the same time, like, the Navajos were getting hit the hardest there, and they weren't getting any support. So we wanted, this was a Paint the Void project. Really, honestly, that happened because my friend reached out and was like, Marina, please paint something, because there's a lot of bad stuff going up.
Everybody decided they could become a muralist during COVID.
So we painted this on the Buffalo Exchange building. We did it off-site, but then brought it.
Yeah. A little too trigger happy. Okay. This was also definitely showing a couple from COVID times, but this one was also with anti-Asian violence happening, and especially towards elders. So a lot of our work is, with different communities, but also our Chinese community. And we wanted to give strength to the elders, and by showing amazing activists, Asian American activists, Yuri Kochiyama, Grace Lee Boggs, and Violetta Marasagan. And we've been able to show this piece at a number of different places, and want to continue sharing it. But then we also, again, it's just kind of like David Burke, we show the older generation and then the younger generation who are just moving things forward, who are featured on the side.
And this hand with the bat is actually part of the story that happened in SF. Zhao Zhenji was attacked by a homeless man, and she's an older woman, and she picked up this 2x4, whatever was next to her, and beat the crap out of him in self-defense. So we wanted to show that, yes, the youth are there to support and should be protecting the elders, but it's even more awesome when the elders can protect themselves. They shouldn't have to, but they're badasses.
I don't know how much time we have. Sorry, you'll let us.
Yeah, whatever. Pablito helped on this one.
Yes, we
Glenn Park.
do paint a lot with Pablo too.
We stole him.
Again, we love to show the natural history of the area, and but again, we have our silent FUs in there too. We wanted to focus, the land before people, like how animals and the native indigenous peoples thrived before development.
Because the Glen Park Neighborhood Association, I think, is the ones who organized to paint this, and they wanted their history, and we were like, yeah, that's cool, but what makes Glen Park is so beautiful is the actual landscape and the animals. So
Pablo painted a lot of those birds.
Yeah.
Yay, they're Pablo. Oh. Yeah.
it's at the Chinese Historical Society. It's our Bruce Lee mural. Pablito worked on this one with us too. This is our largest mural to date.
Yeah. Downtown San Francisco.
Commercial in Liedesdorf.
Yeah. We like to focus on this part, and even though the mural is about Captain Liedesdorf, who is one of the founders of San Francisco, this part of the mural focuses on the future and the youth. We wanted to show the youth and a beautiful future led and driven by diversity and
Forward movement towards what we want. Yeah, which is, sustainability, green, more greens. There's the taiki. So this is painted in the Bayview district. The owner of the building reached out to us. This is just a fragment of it. It's actually much longer. But she wanted to pay tribute to her father, who had just passed away. Also, this building used to be their family business. They had a textiles company. So they are Indian from Africa. Same part, right, Twitchy? Wait, yeah. Same part as where Elaine's family is from Africa. So it's kind of cool because Elaine's Chinese, but her peeps are from Africa. So we just, we went to her house, we went to her sister's and her mom's house and looked at all the different fabrics. They had so many beautiful textiles. It was really hard to choose what we wanted to put in and not put in, but it was a big factor. So that's kind of where we started.
yeah, so weaving all the stories and the culture and all the different things that inspired us for this family and then the neighborhood, which is in the Bayview. And Justine, Marina's mom, helped us so much on this mural. So clutch.
The extra twinsy.
There was so much detail. Well, definitely, it was fun because the owner gave us full reign. Like usually when we have a project, there's limitations on theme and what they want to see, but this was just really rare for us to have a client that was like, just paint whatever you want to paint.
The dream jobs.
Yeah, and this was another part of it.
And those were for African fertility dolls that were in her daughter's room. So this mural also became about fertility.
Also, one of our friends had a baby after too. After he helped out.
If you're trying to get pregnant, go rub a ball.
I don't want to look at it.
Yeah, we had so much fun on this project. And then this is our one of our last murals, we did it, Marina was pregnant. She was up there 40 feet on the lift. And it's in Chinatown in San Francisco, where we're painting another mural right now on Wong Kim Ark. And if you, he pretty much, his case helped establish the 14th Amendment. So this is just down the street, yeah. And this one was, you know, a commercial job, but it was really fun because we got to paint with two of our other brothers, also from the East Bay, who are amazing muralists, and one who's going to be featured in the next love letter. So we just have such a wonderful community of artists and talent that we all love collaborating with one another. And, you know, also the older generation, like Galvez, we're all inspired and we've learned from. And you guys get paved the way for us to paint because we didn't think that was possible. And so now, you know, we just have a lot of fun with it, yeah. And with color. And
Finally, we have Poncho Pescador and Pablito Reyes of Chilovia will round out the evening with their presentation.
Can I drop him off? Hello, hello. Sí, support. So, thank you for Daniel inviting us, and also to be a role model, something to follow, something to be. You know, you're like the grandfather that I never had. Officially adopted. Anyway, we are Chilovia. We are Chilovia. And I'm just gonna give a context of Chilovia, where we coming from. We met like 5-6 years ago in Richmond, and in this paint festival that we were organizing, and Paulo was coming from Australia, and and I remember the first interaction with Paulo. He was like, "Oh, you got all the paint." I remember like, "Oh, because we were supplying the paint for him to paint the mural," and he's like, "Yeah, I got everything, but you have a transparent color, like a purple transparent." I'm like, "Fuck, no, man, we're in Richmond. There is no paint stores here."
It was yellow.
I don't know, something like that, like a extravagant color
That was pretty
that
simple.
nobody had.
Primary color.
So I was like, "Dude, figure it out. We have like, I don't know, 20 colors. Just like do your thing." And then it was a done deal. And then next day I saw him. He's like, "Oh, you got the color?" And I was like, "Dude." It's like, anyway, years later, Paulo reached out and we're like, "Hey, I'm in the Bay and I want to paint," basically. And I took him to this spot where graffiti artists go. Is like a hidden wall, and we paint whatever, you know, and we start becoming friends until we basically, for me, it was like having a partner that could go to anywhere, literally. And I say anywhere because we start hitting our first murals were not paid gigs or anything like that. We were just painting for fun. And that was like the first motto. This has to be fun, and then we will do whatever we want. Because when you pay gigs, then you have to pay what the vision of the person that is paying you. When you paint community murals, you're painting the vision of the community. At this point, we were like, okay, we've been doing that. We want to do something fresh, something original. And then we went to this spot in Alameda, which is an abandoned It's like a marine. Yeah, the Marines
That's
were
the
there.
bunkers, the Alameda bunkers.
Yeah.
I hope nobody is of the authorities, because we did get busted that night, and they let us go because it looked like we had blood on our pants. So the red in that background, this guy spilled on the way there, and so we had a very little amount, and we just dumped our water into it, and that's why the whole wall is like very opaque in colors. And so when we came back out and the security caught us at the skate park, they see that our pants are covered in this dark red, and they just kind of said, "Good night, please don't come back."
What is the body? They say.
Oh, we also did have a really big duffel bag.
Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. So, just a context why Chilovia. Because then we decide like, okay, let's work together, let's paint, let's do like crazy stuff, basically, like surreal, magic realism. We're coming from Latin America, I'm from Chile, Pablo is from Bolivia, and you know, I found a partner that could understand culturally where we are from, you know, like we didn't have to explain or so. It was very fluid from the beginning, and also what I like about Pablo, that he could freestyle. We could just go there. So, for example, the other wall that we just showed you before, we didn't know what we were painting until we got there. We didn't have a sketch. We didn't have a plan. We're like literally like in the white wall figuring out what we're gonna do. And they're like, okay, a rabbit? Sure. Oh, we were walking because it's an abandoned place and there is like all these jackrabbits, wild, like going around. And then there is like this.
Also, someone was high. It wasn't me.
What is the other animal? The jackrabbit? And, oh, the turtles. So we're like, okay, let's paint the rabbits and then like the fable, you know?
Yeah, the famous tortoise and the hare fable.
Yeah. So
Because I'm the slow one.
so basically Chilovia is short for Chile and Bolivia. Historically, Chile and Bolivia had beef, basically. We are neighbors and we have a war 200 years ago. Basically, we were puppets of like the imperial powers. They made us fight, and that beef kind of stay until now. Not so much, but yes.
Well, a significant thing that happened was that Chile decided to take the ocean access from Bolivia. To this day, they have acknowledged that they did it in the last decade or so. That's as far as things have gotten between negotiating ocean access for the landlocked country of Bolivia since, which is why there is still continual tension. But we squashed that beef. When we first met, the first thing he did was actually formally apologize for Chile because I told him I lived in Santiago, and he was like, "I am so sorry."
So we basically we are like, okay, let's create this name and this new identity where, for me personally, Chilovia is a place where there is no borders, where we are all equal, where there is abundance, and where there is beauty, where there is fun, where there is colors, and that's kind of what we try to do with our art. And we were surrealism. We coming from that school of twisting things, and yeah, and then then we start collaborating with other artists, like this piece. I think what Marina and Elaine showed, the piece that you guys did for the Asian violence. This was about the same time, and then somebody had that wall and it's like, hey, you want to paint it? Like, we didn't get paid for that. It's like a big production. We did it in 1 day or 2 days, maybe. day and a half, okay. But yeah, so we just, it was like that was the theme set, and so solidarity with our Asian brothers and sisters, and then we came out with that on the spot. We have a sketch, and that's very us in our process as muralists to improvise. I mean, sometimes I feel like we are kind of jazz musicians in a way, you know, like we just can play the bass and the drum.
Wait, go back for a second. Yeah. So one very important thing I wanted to take note is right there is Elaine with baby Naomi. And I painted that, first of all. So we did improvise a lot of this, but I knew I wanted to paint her, so I reached out to Elaine and was like, I want to paint you and the baby. So I took some photos of them. The reason why I did that is because, yes, it's about supporting Chinatown and Asian heritage, but also to bring it in full circle to people from my community. That was Elaine. And it's wild that like all the artists that have talked here have influenced me in immense ways. I have had the tutelage of Galvez helping him with the mural, same with David, same with Pancho, and same with Twin Wells. So this is very much like a representation of that, of just how all the influences I can bring back to a place like this.
Also, the piece in the middle was made by Kenny Malone, just to be fair with him. So it was a three people production, one day.
And that was during lockdown. So those wood panels are still there to this day, and the community has respected them for the most part.
Yeah. So our friend Dime in East Oakland, she was working 20 years in this school, Elmhurst, in 98 Avenue, deep East Oakland, and it's a beautiful school because there is a lot of OG pieces there of like graffiti artists. Like there is a early Estrias and like stuff that was painted like early 2000s, and it's been there, it's being kept there, and so it's like a little gallery museum. The school, it's a middle school, and we have the honor to be invited there, and you know, like we planned it a little bit. We did like a rough sketch. The picture is my daughter, and you know, we want to bring, because it's a middle school, so we want to bring that magic aspect and the sense of wonder. I love making people wonder, and I love people asking me stupid questions about the mural. Oh, why they got little houses? And, well, it's because of this. Yeah, that's what it is, exactly. You got it. And, you know, like, people, at the end, they're not dumb questions. They realize that they're right. Whatever they see, that's what it is. So, yeah, like, you wanna, our friend Dime did the letters. So it was a collaboration with her too.
So this is kind of funny how we work well together. We love to argue, but it's an act of love. And so his daughter Eva, she was late to school the day we started because he didn't take her photo before this. And I always love that because I asked her, I was like, why is she making a face? I was like, oh, because I made her late to school today to take this photo. And I
had to force her. That's why.
Yeah, it was beautiful painting this one because Dime brought us to somewhere that really is like a hall of fame of amazing artists in Oakland, and it's in far East Oakland. But also because Pancho trusted me enough to paint his daughter's portrait, and I trusted him enough to paint the turtle. Because usually I love painting turtles, and of course it's his daughter. So we really did come together in this mural, and we realized a bit more how much we really do flow well together. And the frog was an afterthought because Pancho wasn't done and I was bored. So that is how that frog came to be. And then of course Pancho got jealous, so he did that snail on top. But this is...
Why you have to pay more than me? No.
Yeah, so this this is very much an example of us just kind of fooling around. Approach, you know, he did something and I was like, wow, well, I want to do something like that too. And so that's this composition just kind of came to fruition when we were at the wall. But also it was surreal for both of us to have the realization that we were now part of something that we dreamed about when we got to the Bay, and we're amazed about, like, wow, these artists are just immortalized on this wall, and there's this whole alleyway just dedicated to these people, and then being invited to be a part of that was kind of a huge achievement for both of us.
Yeah, it's like playing the World Cup or something, you know, like if you're a soccer guy. Well,
Oh,
yeah, cut that out. But basically, that's something that we want to talk about the process. And, you know, like Davey showed the process, Danielle showed the process. Well, this is kind of our process. It's like somebody, you can tell the story, but basically that's our sketch when somebody asks us, well, what do you want to paint? They need to see something. Then we literally did it like in 5 minutes.
it was a shoestring budget to paint at Santa Clara Fairgrounds, and the day that the guy presented the artists to the board of the Santa Clara Fairgrounds, he decides to tell us, like, oh, you need to give us a concept. So they barely covered like food and gas to paint this. So that day when he called and asked, like, hey, do you have a sketch for me? I grabbed a napkin and a marker and I was like, Pancho, what do you want to paint? And we just did like,
Cool. Calavera.
yeah, like a skull. And I was like, all right, I'll paint a bird. All right, cool. And we just sent a photo and we sent it to him. And we're like, yeah, that's what we're gonna paint. And this is what we did, you know, like we just followed our same process that we always have. And I'm always happily impressed. Well, to be honest, sometimes I'm not, but we paint a lot, so some of them are going to be misses as well. You know? But because it was the Santa Clara Fairgrounds is why I put a house in the pipe, because a lot of kids would be there, and I didn't want them to make any kind of correlation with like doing drugs. But I wanted the frog to feel more human than frog, and I was like, well, maybe if I give him a hat, or it's like, oh, a pipe. But then it was like, oh, but I don't want kids thinking about smoking. I was like, he could be smoking a house. There's no way to misinterpret that. It's just a house. And yeah, of course, Pancho painted ajolotes is something that he constantly paints as we've done it.
And then next year we got invited again, but this time they offer some panels, wood panels, and we kind of decide to keep the theme. So again, the school and some of the characters. So it's like kind of the continuation of the other one. This is a little smaller. We painted like in the garage, and it was like one day, right?
I think, a day.
Yeah.
One thing we forgot to mention is most of our work is spray paint. Like we rarely use brushes in our work, just because of a factor of time, and also because it's a really gratifying process to just see so much done so quickly by your own hand. And also it's really unforgiving, so maybe it's like a bit of adrenaline that you did it right the first and only time you could do it. And so all of the work that you've seen is spray paint and maybe like a bucket of house paint that we brought there to cover the background first.
There's an etching before the spray paint?
No.
No. Before?
Yeah, no, we usually we'll look for photo references. We're not that good. But no, most of the time we just go to the wall, we hit it with the color, and then we start to put together a composition. So this was the last mural we did last year for San Jose for One Culture, which is an organization that has been activating a lot of spaces in the community in San Jose for 3 years now.
Yeah, more like 5 years. They had a gallery, and they've been producing murals and art and events in San Jose, and they're very generous. And it's Latin Center I would say, even though they feature different people, but mostly Latinos. Yeah, and then probably this is one of the walls that I actually did a sketch, and Pablo didn't.
He also
And
didn't
I was
tell
like,
me he did a sketch
and I
until
was
we
like,
got there.
because
When we got
he
there,
didn't do the homework.
when we
I
got
did.
there, he told
So
me, "Oh, I
I
did
was
a
proud.
sketch."
I was proud. And then I was like, well, you didn't do your homework, but he
I still showed up.
showed up and worked it out. So it came in good. I'm happy with this wall. Again, it's ceremonial. That's what my ambition when I sketched was like a ceremony with, you know, everybody, everything on it, you know, and all mixed up. This is the third piece that we do in that wall. We took over that wall. It's a public wall in East Oakland. It's like a freeway wall. And one day I told Pablo, we gotta check that wall because otherwise somebody else will. And we went and did a first piece. It ran for like 6-8 months and then got tagged. And we went back and repainted something different. And we put Destroy the System, not art, in the 22. And it ran from 22 to 26 with that second mural. And then it got tagged again this year. And we went back again because we take ownership of our spots. We're not releasing that spot because that's one of the spots that we can paint wherever we want, you know? And there is not that many spots where you can do that publicly, you know? Otherwise, you have to go to the train tracks, to the abandoned places, but this is public, and it's like, you know, whatever you want, basically. And yeah, we just kind of improvise on the spot, this one. We didn't have a sketch or anything. We just